Happy Valentine's Day, and we wish you a very, very happy Valentine's Day and hope you have someone or something at home warm and fuzzy to cuddle up to. Because my guest here today on Carousel does that every day of her life, and she does it from her heart and soul, and she doesn't discriminate. But that's a whole other story as we'll get into it. My name is Scott Albertson. Welcome to Carousel. I'm your host, and my guest here today is part of the idea that I started for 2013, meaning introducing you home and planting new seeds for newer organizations or newer concepts in the area that have not so much a local effect, but certainly goes beyond a local effect. So I want to welcome to Carousel my guest today, Dr. Grace Parks. Hi, Grace.
Hi.
Thank you for being here with me.
Sure.
And happy Valentine's Day.
You too.
Yeah, she's taking her Valentine's Day off by being here. But that we won't talk about that. That's not the topic of conversation.
Right. We won't get off track.
No, we won't get off that. Now, folks here, we are reeling from Captain Nemo, meaning Nemo, who came in this past weekend and slammed our area. So in every life, a little rain must fall, but in this particular case, it was snow, and a lot of snow. But through that snowstorm, there's always something good that comes out of it. And that's how this interview came to pass. Meaning, I was out because we're neighbors. I was out shoveling, and I saw Grace shoveling her driveway. I went over to help her, and we started talking. Now, I know Grace is a veterinarian, and I come to find out through the conversation while shoveling that she's changed jobs, and hence that's the topic of the conversation. So welcome to Carousel. Thank you for being here. Now, you're originally from this area.
Yes, I grew up in Norwalk.
Right, and you're a doctor of veterinary medicine, a DVM.
Yes.
Right, and you went to Colorado State?
I went to Colorado State University.
Right.
That's where I got my veterinary degree.
Okay, and that's not, from the little I know of it, that's not an easy task, not so much in the curriculum itself, but more, there's not many veterinary hospitals. It's very competitive to try to get in, from what I understand. Is that correct?
I believe right now there are 28 schools in the U.S. that are accredited.
Okay.
So it is very competitive, and class sizes vary a little bit. I want to say mine was about 135 students, which is maybe a little higher than average.
Yeah, I would think so. That's from the numbers I've heard.
Yep.
From talking to other vets.
Yeah, so it does tend to be quite competitive.
Okay, and it's not an unusual story, I guess, if you will, for people because they can't get into veterinary school in the States, that they'll go offshore. Yeah,
there are several schools out of the country that people will go to. It's just often a little more difficult process to later practice in the U.S. and expensive.
Okay, yeah, well, the expense factor always hubs into there because,
sure.
I mean, you're talking, was it 8 years of 8 years of school?
Well, the medical school is 4 years, but
right.
Most people go into it with at least a bachelor's degree, if not more.
So there's your 4, and then medical school is 4, so there's your 8
right.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus whatever you do once you get out of that.
Yeah.
Kind of like a doctor going through residency. You know, they have to go to a hospital, put their time in.
Yeah, sure, some do.
Right.
Some veterinarians go through internships and residencies as well.
Okay. The focus of the Carousel today is her job now. Now, she's had a job change, and that's what intrigued me when we were talking while we were shoveling this past Saturday. She's working for, and the only vet for, a place called the Nutmeg Clinic in Stratford, Connecticut. And it's Fairfield County's only spaying and neutering clinic.
That's right.
Which is such a great idea. And from talking with you, now I was at the clinic yesterday because I took some photos and I visited with the staff and visited with you and saw you in action. But the bigger concept I get out of it is certainly to help the animal population, and because it's a runaway train, but also to make it affordable for people because a lot of people can't afford the typical vet bill because it is usually pretty expensive to do normal, whether it be spaying or certainly going to get vaccines. It's pretty expensive.
Well, surgery is expensive, and there are a lot of costs associated with being a veterinarian and
right.
practicing as a vet, especially, as you can imagine, in Fairfield County,
sure.
which is quite expensive to even live in,
sure.
Much less run a business,
sure.
And a profitable business at that. So, you know, there are a lot of costs involved with running that kind of business and offering full service, and it can get a little bit costly. And
sure.
I come from private practice. I understand completely the costs that are involved with that. We've just been able to create a situation where we exclusively do spays and neuters.
Neutering, right.
We don't really offer other services,
Right.
except for vaccines at the same time.
Right.
And because we're able to do that, we can cut some of the overhead expenses.
Sure.
That our staff is 100% dedicated just to spaying and neutering,
Sure.
and to monitoring and taking care of those animals that are there for surgery.
Right.
So we can offer it at a slightly lower price.
Sure.
And we're meeting a need that is there.
It's a big need.
Yeah.
Huge need.
There are a lot of people who have pets and want to keep their beloved pets, even though they may be in a bad financial situation, and
Right.
we're able to offer more affordable prices. And we've also been accepting vouchers. The state does give out hundreds.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yes, they provide vouchers that help people pay for spaying and neutering and
my
vaccines for their pets.
That's so terrific.
And people can get those vouchers if they have need.
Right.
So low income.
If they can show that they're
Exactly.
Right.
Or if you adopt a pet from a pound or something like that, often you can get those vouchers as well. And so we have, in the time we've been open, which is from August
August of 2012.
starting the end of
yeah,
August.
it's not even 6 months.
Right. We've accepted over 400 APCP vouchers.
Isn't that great?
And we're
Didn't know
able
that.
to do the whole surgery for basically the voucher without any extra cost.
Right, without people actually putting their hand in their pocket
Right.
or their checkbook, if they have one, and to help pay for it.
Yeah.
Now, the name of the clinic is Nutmeg Clinic, and their website is nutmegclinic.org. And also you can find them on Facebook and like them, because you can get information and follow what they're doing, and certainly hook up other people and help get the word out, because that's the whole point of Carousel. We help get the word out. It's a show of, or a platform to help organizations like you help get the word out, because it's terrific what you're doing and offering as a service, because it's, on one level, it's certainly for the pets, it's certainly for the animals, and certainly you involve feral cats, for example.
Right.
But also it's for the people,
Sure.
which is really terrific. So it's certainly a wonderful combination of what you're getting going on here. Now, I have a wish list that I'm going to go to real briefly that they're looking for. So for example, they need cleaning buckets, they need dish detergent Dawn, and she's so funny, she writes here blue, especially blue, not the antibacterial, really cute. Dishwasher detergent, I'm sorry. Buckets, trash bags. You can go on the website. Also, we're going to have a photo roll in a little bit. We're not going to show it right now, but it also has the wish list. Also, medical gloves, alcohol, cat litter, cat food, dog food, because part of, and visiting at the clinic yesterday, part of your existence now is that, not your main focus, but this is a tangent that is being born of this, is you're becoming an adoption sort of an agency. You're helping connect animals to find other homes.
Well,
it's not your main spin, but
it's not technically part of Nutmeg Spay Neuter Clinic.
Right.
It's a separate organization that has been around for many years.
Okay.
I think about 6 years.
Okay.
Which is Feral Care.
Okay. Right.
Which is basically started out as a group helping to spay and neuter some of the feral cats that we have roaming around all over Connecticut.
Right.
There's no area that doesn't have them. We have them in our neighborhood.
Sure we do.
And there are huge colonies of them in some places, and so this is actually the birth of, this is pre Nutmeg Spay Neuter Clinic. It started out as Feral Care, where these people that I know have been going out and helping people who take care of these animals, get them actually spayed and neutered, so that they can continue to feed them and take care of them without watching the populations grow. Try to keep a stable population so that we're not just adding more and more cats.
Now, your affiliation, from what we were talking about yesterday at the clinic, is you're affiliated with Humane Alliance out of North Carolina, right?
Right.
And they're a much bigger organization, much more bigger establishment.
Yeah, they're quite large.
And you went down, right? Exactly. And you went down. They have like 6 operating rooms, I think it was. And they have a staff of like 120 or something of that sort.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I want to say they have something like 11 vets, most of them full time.
Wow.
And they've grown from a very small operation like what we have into
Sure.
what they are now. And they've become a teaching facility.
Right, they become the model,
Yes,
so to speak.
Exactly. And I think that's why they have so many vets, because there are waiting lists for veterinary students, veterinarians, and entire teams to come and learn kind of how to run one of these clinics.
Isn't that something? And you went down with some of the staff.
We went with the entire staff.
Right, and you went
Yeah.
down and did some training down there
Yeah.
and just kind of got the feel of how they do what they do, because you're using that as a guideline to now do what you're doing at Nutmeg Clinic.
That's right.
Right, exactly. I'm going to ask the folks in the control room, let's start rolling the photos, because we have a lot of photos of not only my visit there yesterday, but also some of the photos that were sent to me. And the first one you're going to see, the first 3 are the logo for Nutmeg Clinic, and then there was also the opening that you did in November of 2012. And then also there's this particular poster that you see, which now is the poster, kind of your main driving advertising poster of trying to get the word out there. So we're going to roll the photos as we go along, talk about the other kitties and doggies that you're dealing with now. Grace has a really wonderful dog in the neighborhood that she has at home.
He's
it's her
a
own
wonderful
pet.
dog.
Yeah, Miles. Yeah, Miles is a scream. And Miles is so funny because when I'll come outside and she's walking Miles, and I get Miles howling, and we're actually howling in the neighborhood, and it goes on for like 10 minutes.
And all the beagles in the neighborhood
yes,
start
and it
howling.
was, oh, it's really funny. But she takes Miles to work every day. I saw Miles there yesterday.
Yep.
He's so sweet. Now, some of the photos you're going to see surgery prep. You're going to see Dr. Parks in action. You're going to see some of the other staff there, like Clara and Kathy. And also, what I wanted to touch upon was the fact that, excuse me, see there's Kathy with a doggie after surgery. It's so sweet. Yes, that's so sweet. What I wanted to touch upon is that from this particular, meaning your Stratford establishment, from your Stratford clinic now, is that you're hoping that this will build upon not only solely for you, help getting the word out, but also now maybe open another clinic or 2 in Connecticut and really get it moving.
Well, I think
That's longer term looking.
I don't know what that goal is
Right.
as far as the administrative part of it.
Right.
I think right now we're all really working to make this clinic really successful,
Okay.
and to reach out even further if we can. I mean, we even have, you know, a little more long-term plans of sending a van out to pick up animals for people
Okay.
who can't make it
Who
to
can't
us.
make it.
We've had people show up on bikes with cats,
Right.
and taking a train, you know, every day of the week with an animal
Yeah,
to
the
come
gal-
and bring us all of their animals.
The gal you were telling me about on a bicycle
Yeah.
that was driving with the
Yeah.
cat carrier.
Yeah, and not a young woman
No.
on a bicycle.
No,
And
she's on a-
obviously, when we find out how they've gotten to us, usually one of us will get in a car and drive them home.
Sure.
But I mean, people go to great lengths to get to us.
Right, and there was a gentleman from New Haven
Yeah.
that took the train
Yeah.
from New Haven, because he didn't have a car,
Right.
took the train from New Haven to Bridgeport
Yep.
and walked from
Walked
the
Bridgeport,
Bridgeport train station to, and you're right on the line of Bridgeport and
Yes.
Stratford.
It's
And
still quite a walk, though.
yeah, it's a bit of a hike. Absolutely, it's a stretch of the legs.
Yeah.
And walked with cat carriers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like out of the, woo,
Yeah,
that's great.
it's dedication. I mean,
Absolutely.
this is somebody who loves his pets and
Right.
wants to do the right thing, and
Yes.
and saved up the money to do this,
To
and,
actually have that happen.
and did
yeah.
that insane trip,
Yes.
and walked on foot with his pets
Isn't
to get
that
them there.
something? That's
Yeah.
really wild. Once again, the website is www.nutmeg, as in state of Connecticut, nutmeg, clinic.org. And also you can find them on Facebook. Have you gotten to Twitter yet, do you know?
I
they on
don't
Twitter?
think they are.
I don't think they are. We didn't talk about that yet, so I don't remember them saying that. But point is that they're on Facebook. Also, while this photo is just flashing, this is your Hall and Wall of Fame. Now, those particular name plates, I guess, if you will, that were set in are folks that have either donated money or donated supplies from the wish list, for example. And I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I took some photos of that yesterday, is what you were seeing. I think it's such a hip idea because it's not only a reference of appreciation, but it's also the idea that from a marketing standpoint, as soon as you walk in the door and you're dropping off your pet or you're visiting, there's that immediate reference because that whole wall now, half of it is taken up with what you're seeing on the...
Yeah, and it is a place that our patrons have helped to build.
Sure.
And our volunteers and all the people who've been with us for many years. Many local vets have been part of this for years and years as we've done these monthly clinics. We have done monthly clinics for many years, and this has kind of evolved out of it now that we have a stationary clinic. But it's been, I mean, the community has been great, and you know, I'm not the only vet who's been involved with this. I'm the only vet who works there now.
Right.
But there's a community of veterinarians who are very supportive of us.
Right, because you have a couple of those other veterinary hospitals that are helping you in the sense of if you get involved with something that you can't handle, not so much you can't handle, but it's out of your domain, I guess, if you will, then you have these other people that will help you out.
Well,
like
generally, I mean, you know, I will do pretty much one thing.
Right.
And we don't offer other services.
Right.
You know, we do, we are very proactive about recommending that everyone should establish a relationship with a veterinarian. We're there for one thing, for one time in the animal's life.
Right.
And then, you know, we really want them to go and develop a relationship. And they're not developing a relationship with me. Most of the people who walk in don't meet me.
Right.
I'm in the back, very
Right.
busy.
Yes.
But you know, we try to keep a really good relationship with all the other vets in the community by just keeping in communication with them. And if I feel that an animal cannot safely get surgery in our facility, I tell the owner that and send them back to their own vet.
Sure.
Where, you know, it may be more expensive for them, but that may be the way to go for certain cases.
Sure. Now, since you've had your doors open since August of 2012, we were talking about this off camera, current, up to date, including today, you've done 1,400 and change?
Yes.
Spaying and neutering.
That's right.
And probably almost half of that in the last, what, 6, 7, 8 weeks?
That's right. In the last 6 weeks, just over, a third of it.
Right.
Yeah, so you know, we really are growing.
You are, and you're getting the word out, and that's part of what this whole...
Yeah, in all of 2012, and from the end of August to the end of December, just under 1,000 animals, and then just in the past 6 weeks, close to 500.
500. Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Your numbers in comparison, for example, to the folks down in, is it Asheville, North Carolina?
It's Asheville.
Yeah, it's Asheville, North Carolina, which is the Humane Alliance. I mean, they're doing like a couple hundred a day or something insane like that. But that shows very specifically is what you're doing now in the sense you're growing. Because there is one other clinic in Waterbury, right?
Yes.
In Waterbury, Connecticut.
The Hope Clinic in Waterbury.
Right,
That's
and
right.
they're also affiliated with Humane Alliance,
That's right.
Right,
Yep.
exactly. So you're the only two in the state. There's you in Stratford and then the one in Waterbury.
Yep.
Now, but that shows very specifically the need. That shows that there's a gigantic need.
There is a need.
And it's not only the ferals, it's the people that want to take responsibility or certainly want to help.
Mm-hmm.
Because these poor animals, you know, a lot of them, they're just out there and they're trying to survive. And you have the stories about people driving down the road and they open up the car door and, you know, out goes the cat or the dog.
It is, and it's true. They're not just stories.
No, I know, it's very true, yeah. Yep. Years ago, I used to be a police officer here in Norwalk for a bunch of years. And I used to see some of those results of some of those cases.
Sure.
It was so sad.
Yeah.
You know, they put them in a plastic bag and they throw them in a dumpster. It's like, what is that? You know, how hard is it to go to the ASPCA or PAWS, for example, here in Norwalk, or go to a veterinary hospital and say, look, I can't take care of the animal. Can you please help?
Yeah, yeah. Or let's take a step back and say, you know, we clearly have a huge overpopulation problem in this country, and not just in this country. And let's just talk about Connecticut.
Sure.
I mean, there's no question that there are more dogs and cats than there are homes for.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to. And I think
it sure does.
Part of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and why we're doing Nutmeg is because, you know, we don't see euthanasia as a good means of population control.
Right.
You know, that's not the answer. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see a future where euthanasia is not a means of population control of healthy animals.
This is the viable alternative, so to speak. As well as there used to be a handful of organizations, and I think just because of socioeconomic times, I think they've whittled down because of funds have dried up or something, but you used to have the ASPCA, used to have the Humane Society in Westport that used to be very proactive. You don't hear much about them anymore. I'm sure that they're still out there.
Oh, sure.
But I guess because funds have gotten, you know, much smaller, it's harder for them to exist and do what they do. And of course, then you have organizations which are more devoted towards wild animals. Up in Weston, you have Wildlife in Crisis. I mean, I've actually taken injured animals I found up there.
They're wonderful people there.
Yeah,
too.
they are,
Yeah,
and they
very
do
dedicated.
very dedicated, and also they provide a terrific service.
They do.
Because there's not a lot of that out there either.
Yeah, and the humane societies, they are doing their work. Not all of them have veterinarians.
Right.
In order to do this. I know the Westport vet has a veterinarian, and
Right.
they do take care of their own pets there, you know, but it's not an enormous clinic.
Right.
It's not an enormous facility.
And how long, which I guess is anytime you have an organization like that, it becomes a time factor. How long can you keep all these pets? How can, well, they're not pets at that point.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you're dealing with them, they become your pets because you get that close to them. How can you not? Because they're typically very sweet. But it's the time factor. I mean, how can you afford to pay, you know, keep the money to feed them and, you know, keep them? And, and it's, so that's where the euthanasia comes into play.
Sure.
And that goes to our organizations like PAWS, for example. Or there's one of Long Island, and I can't think of the name of it.
North Shore Animal League.
Thank you, North Shore Animal Hospital, which they have a big presence. They do a lot of marketing. You know, you see them on television, not so much around here, and you hear it on radio, which again is wonderful because it provides a service and it provides, it's a healing, putting a Band-Aid over a serious wound, a need.
And those are just the larger organizations.
Those are the larger ones,
I mean,
right.
there are hundreds of small rescues, and some of them just being run out of people's living rooms, you know, just foster people who will take in a dog, 2 dogs, a litter of kittens as they can.
Sure.
And that's probably how most of the unhomed pets in this area, and I'm just totally making that up. I don't know if that's true, but just from what I see, I have to guess that potentially most of the animals without homes are living in foster situations right now. Oh, you know, a lot of people, if you ask around, oh yeah, I have a couple of foster dogs, they're waiting for a home, and and some of these fosters just end up staying forever, you know. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I know. I met a couple yesterday at your facility.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's more than a couple of fosters there.
There was one I was telling the girls yesterday at the clinic, the story about Wildlife in Crisis, for example. They have Henry. And you probably don't, you were busy working.
Is it the deer?
It's the deer.
Oh, I know Henry well.
Yeah, they have Henry at Wildlife in Crisis.
I've actually seen him in practice.
Okay, he's such a sweetie.
Yeah.
And he was a deer that someone found, and I know the story, that was found, he was born on someone's lawn, and I guess the mom was hanging around, and obviously Henry wasn't moving, so they became concerned. One thing led to the next, hooked him up with Wildlife in Crisis. Now Henry has a very anomaly, I mean, very weird condition.
Very
His
unusual.
hooves are turned in this way.
All of them, all four.
Of them, all 4.
Yeah.
So he, in essence, can't walk.
Yeah, he can't walk.
And it's so, you would think it's very sad, but in that sense, so when you walk into Wildlife in Crisis, they have a big dog bed. And there's Henry, sitting there with a big smile on his face,
And Henry is a buck.
Yeah, he is, big brown eyes.
Big boy.
Yeah, big brown eyes. And if you hang out and if you have the occasion to hang out a little bit there, they actually will come up with baby carrots, and you can hand feed them baby carrots. It's very sweet.
And do you know that Henry is neutered?
I would guess he would be.
Henry's neutered.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's going to be going out on a date anytime soon or bringing flowers to, you know, the gal down the street. You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
But that ain't happening. Yeah.
Yeah, but he is also neutered.
Yeah. But now he's a permanent resident.
Yes, he's kind of a mascot.
He ain't going
over
anywhere.
There.
Yeah, but he's so sweet.
He's sweet.
And that's what I saw yesterday at your clinic. Not Henry, but I saw some of the critters that you have there, some of the cats. They're so sweet.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, some of those cats that you think are lifers, they go home.
Yeah.
They go to homes.
Yeah, like, what was his name? The little guy on the floor. He had a name with a P. Not Peony. Now, Peony was in the camera, was in one of the photos, but he was really funny, very hyper.
Pugsley?
Pugsley. What a beautiful cat, black and white.
He's beautiful.
But full of energy.
Yes.
I mean, definitely a kitten. Like, whee, you know, just flying all over the place. He was having a ball. Wasn't being destructive, he was just having a lot of fun. Where can, because something I didn't know and we talked about, where can folks find out about that state assistance? How can they go about doing that? Do you
I'm
know?
probably the wrong person to talk to about that. I should have asked that, but we often help people find out about that.
Okay.
Gilda would kill me if I said to call the clinic because 100 people are going to call tomorrow.
But email.
She usually does help people out. Obviously, if we help you get one of those, we sort of expect that you're going to bring your pet to us.
Right.
But that's absolutely not required.
Right.
But the state does give them out, and it's sort of like a first come, first serve.
Okay.
So we're at the beginning of the year. This is a good time.
But
to
that's
get
okay.
those.
It's certainly
It's
an option.
for people with need.
Yeah,
with
it's an option.
demonstrated need. Absolutely.
It's definitely an option.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you go onto their website, meaning nutmegclinic.org, their email is info@nutmegclinic.org. So if you wanted to email them and try to get information or go on from there, their telephone number is 690-5590, I think it is. It was on the screen, but no matter, you can go on to there, and they're on Charles Street in Stratford, and they're right next to 95, so they're easy to find. And if you go onto the website, you can certainly get directions as well. And I just think it's such a wonderful idea. And what I'd like to do is later on this year, as 2013 cranks along, and you're going to get busier, I can safely say that, then I'd like to have you back on, is probably like late summer, and then we can give you an assessment to the folks at home where you are and how it's growing.
Sure,
and
you got it.
Again, to help get the word out. Now, what I suggested to Gilda was that you all contact Live Green Connecticut.
I think we did.
Yeah, livegreenconnecticut.com, because
Yeah.
they've been on here as
Okay.
guests. And we've actually had a couple other environmental organizations. Matter of fact, the show that was aired last week was Save the Frogs and Center for Biodiversity. But you would be, meaning the clinic, terrific for Live Green Connecticut, because that's going to be, again, the 4th annual will be in Norwalk down at Taylor Farms property. It'll be the weekend of September 14th and 15th, I believe, because it's a Saturday and Sunday. And you could set up a booth and give out information. You could probably have one or two of the pets there, or one or two of your clients, so to speak, and you could have people see and show what they do.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
a great
wonderful.
idea.
Again, it's free for people to come in, and it's wonderful help to get the word out. So thank you so much for being here, Dr. Grace.
Thank you, Scott.
And we're going to, as well, I'm going to give you the posters. We made some posters for you to take home. Well, not take home, but certainly take to work. And also the photo roll that you have, we're going to give you the DVD of that so you can actually put it on your website.
Great.
So that's a freebie. Take it with you.
Good.
And really, I would love to have you back again to keep talking about what's going on with you. And I'm so happy for you, because it comes, talking when we were shoveling, it comes from your heart and the center of your soul. When we were talking about the clinic and how you said, well, I've gone out of private practice to a certain degree and now we're doing this. And it was very clear to me, hence why we're here now, why you're doing it, because it's who you are. It's from your heart. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back again to Carousel. Thank you, Dr. Grace.